wide angle, so everybody's in. All right, so it's perfect angle for you. And so what I usually do, I can take it up. I have this PowerPoint presentation that I sit at home for weeks and try to create a story about what we are going to be talking about. So before I start, can you imagine that you've never seen snow before? You have never seen that. You've been living in somewhere. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. Let's do that. Let's turn the Wi-Fi off so we don't have that problem. So let's try it one more time. So could you imagine living in a world where you have never seen snow before? You have read it in books, but you have never seen it or felt it. You have lived in a world where you only touch
desert.
sand. Sorry?
The desert.
The desert from yeah, exactly, from the desert. And suddenly you come to England and you see snow for the first time and you're trying to make sense of it. This is a clip of a person from Africa, never seen snow before. And it's just 1 minute, but it's fascinating just to look at him because he's trying to make sense of what he is seeing. And he says, it looks like sand. And he waits a second and he tries to say, he says, but this is white. And he looks at the camera and says, our sand is brown. This is how he's trying to put it together. And that is the Venus Project that I'm trying to present here, because it is so different from what we are used to that we try to put it together, and it's going to be very difficult for you to do it if you don't really go and look into it, that you see it, that you don't sit at home and you look at it more. You can't understand it by just coming here, listening to me for 2 hours. You must go home and explore for yourself. Because today, if you go and watch a regular clip of Jacques Fresco talking in front of 100 people, he talks about the tip of the iceberg. That's what he talks about. When you get into it, you start going down here. And today we're going to be right in that corner. So if you have... Sorry? Deeper. And unfortunately, I do that because it is very boring to always talk about the top. But for you to grasp it really, you have to go and do your own homework. Sometimes I might go back and talk about it, but usually I don't anymore because I want to go to the next step. And when I hold these lectures, it gives me an opportunity to really try to make sense of what I'm learning, because I feel that the best way to learn is by teaching others. And at these lectures, whenever you feel like it, you just interrupt. I do my thing. I will talk for 1.5 hours if you don't interrupt. I will have small pauses, but whenever you feel like it, you just interrupt, and you don't have to talk about the topic that I'm talking about. You say, this thought come up, can you explain that? And I will go into that whenever you feel like it.
Do you need some water?
No, I can take it at the break. I will go for it. It's okay. We're gonna have a break in 45 minutes. Thank you for that. I'm gonna put my alarm, or else I will just talk for 2 hours. Okay. So whenever you feel like it, you don't just interrupt. Say, what about that? This thought came up. Can you explain that? Okay. So I will get started. I'm gonna just give a short introduction of what the Venus Project views humanitarian aid. What would that look in the Venus Project? In the society we have today, the opposite of a humanitarian is a person that is crawling on the streets in a slum. This person cannot afford to be concerned with other people, because if this person is concerned, then they will cease to exist tomorrow. They cannot afford to be concerned with others. So a humanitarian in the standard of today is a person that gives away something that belongs to themselves. And they do it on Wednesday, but what happens the rest of the week, they don't really care about that. They are not concerned about that. They just make that mark in the calendar, I done this today. And that is what happened when I was sitting in the subway and a guy came. In Sweden we have people selling magazines, the poor, they sell magazines to
Yeah.
somehow make a living. And he walked up to a woman, he said, "Do you want to buy this?" And she looked at him and said, "No, no, no, I have already bought it. That means I don't give a shit about you until next month. I have done my part. You're not gonna get any more." He doesn't care that you have bought it this month. He needs your money now. He will smile and say thank you for that, but he needs your money now. So if she was honest, she would have said, "I have done my part, I'm not interested anymore." Or she would have just said, "No thank you." But she felt the need to say, "I've already done it." And why do we do that? Because we would like to say that I have done something, give me confirmation. And then we live with that illusion in our head and we're smiling, we say, "I've done it." And we're happy, I'm a good person. That person in her head, she was a good person. I've already done my part, go to somebody else. So she lives in the illusion in her head that she's doing something. And so a humanitarian says you can have that, no more. You can have a piece of my sandwich and I'm a good person at the same time. In the Venus Project, and we have an event. Has anybody heard about this? It's called a Humanitarian Day, 19th of August.
I've heard it.
You heard it. I don't know so much about it, but the point I'm trying to make with it is that it is a day, event once a year. In the Venus Project, what we would like to accomplish is not that it is a everyday thing. It is a every moment thing to be humanitarian, to help other people. That is what our concern is, that everything in society is going towards that direction. Not once a year saying, "Hey, let's care about everybody," or once a month, "I'm going to buy that newspaper." It's an ongoing process, continuously. And that is what we would call being a humanitarian. And that is basically what the Venus Project would like to accomplish. Okay. Any thoughts about that? That was just a short introduction. Any thoughts about that?
I just thought about Earth Hour. It's about the same thing there, but it's only an hour.
It's an hour. And that is, in our last lecture, I said that is we're not living for the future. That we're saying, let's make this an everyday thing. This is only a pastime right now. It's a feel-good exercise for ourselves. It is so I can sleep at night and say I've done something.
Yeah.
That's where it's at today. Okay. I'm going to continue. Okay. So this little bit is called "We have been living in the shit for far too long." So if you were raised here and you brought up here in the mud every day of your life, you would get used to it and you would say, "Yeah, this is the way things are." And there wouldn't be that much problem because you haven't been exposed to anything else. So there's a TV show called Dirty Jobs. Anybody seen it? Very successful. 9 seasons. That's a successful show.
On Discovery.
On Discovery as well, because Discovery is so much about discovery nowadays. But it glorifies dirty jobs. It makes it a hit show. It is making it like it's normal, it's good. Now you got that shitty job, let's put you on TV. Make you proud of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's good for you. And that's the kind of society we have today. And what happens is sooner or later some of these people wake up and they say, "Hey, what, can I have a better life? Can I have a little bit of better life than what I have now? Maybe a nicer house or something that would make me not be so concerned about tomorrow and I can go and explore the world or do something." And society says, "No, you can't have that." And the person wonders, why can't I have the good life? Because there are those that are meant to have it and those that are not meant to have it. There are those that are born smart and those that are not born smart. That is what we're brought up to. That is what That is what they feed us. So the person says, I can't have it, I'm gonna take it from them. And we get brought up to say, oh no, don't do that, that's communism. We can't have that. We cannot, don't try to take other people's things. You gotta fight that. You gotta go for individuality. So they condition people to sit back, don't concern yourself, and they live the good life by getting other people to work from morning to sunset so they can have a better life. And when you see these people, a lot of people, they get very happy. So they don't just condition you to work for them, they condition you to be proud when you see them. You get very happy. These are the people that are riding your back. And you are very pleased when you see them. Not people here, but society. Because if they weren't pleased, they would not be waving, they would be pulling them down, ripping their clothes off. But they do the opposite today. The higher up, the more admired you are. So what happens in our society is that when we start climbing up the ladder, we're getting a better life, we're going up, the only way we know where we're at, how we're doing, is who is below me. When I'm riding these people, I know I'm doing pretty good. That is what says you made it in this society. This is the Prince of England. I think I would be feeling a little bit ashamed if I was sitting there, but for him, why shouldn't he be sitting there? There's nothing wrong with him. He's being brought up this way to be riding these people. So what happens is that if these people try to climb up, say, can I sit there for 5 minutes? He smiles and he has to push them down with his foot. Say, no, you there, you stay there. And that's the type of society we have. If you try to climb up, the people up there have to push you down. Because if you come up, because I came down. As long as I can keep you down, better for me. So what happens? Sooner or later, somebody's got to be at the bottom. Nobody's below this person. So these people usually lose their mind or lose all kinds of participation in the society. And the people that are just above them, those are the people that are fed the most propaganda, and they have to eat it, because or else they wouldn't stay there. Those are the people that are not just proud to be working 8 or 10 hours a day. They love it. It's a part of their life. They have to be feeling that way, or else they would protest. So the lower they are, the more they want to keep it for themselves. Not always, but those that are very nationalistic, they have been fed it to stay down there. So what is the point I'm trying to get across? Is that stop looking down, start looking up, and say, who are these people on TV? Who are these people giving suggestions? Why are they there? What relevance do they have to maybe bettering the earth? So when you see Leonardo, this is the second picture of Leonardo DiCaprio. I have nothing against him. It was just coincidence, and I didn't feel like changing it. But when Leonardo DiCaprio is at the United Nations talking to all the nations that are part of this, he's talking for 4 minutes, and I said to myself, okay, let's see what he's talking about. And he's talking very charismatic, and the point he's trying to get across is that it is time to put a price on carbon. No more of companies getting away with this. It's pretty good. It sounds pretty good. Leonardo is there, is saying something, and a lot of people will probably get involved in that. They will start creating marches, and they will say, hey, Leonardo said something, we like that, let's save the planet. And we get 1 million people marching in the streets on this message. Let's fix this. And sooner or later, the big business guys, they say, all right, you're gonna put a price on carbon, we're gonna fix that. We're gonna put a nice filter in. It's gonna cost 50 million, but we're also concerned with the world. We're not just businessmen, we're human beings as well. We're concerned. But when they're saying that, they're really smiling, and you should wonder why they're smiling, because when they put that filter in, all the companies, what happens is that the cost goes up.
Yeah.
And they don't say, we will take care of that cost. No, they will say, you pay for that.
Consumer.
You will pay for the higher price. It is not them paying. Oh, we have to put in a filter? Okay, you pay for that. So that is no way to solve that problem. So what will you do? You say, I have less money now. I need more money to live. So you go on a strike and you say, we need more money. I can't live with only $15 or $12 an hour. We need $15.
Yeah.
So sooner or later they say, all right, we're gonna give you more. And that means when they go and buy food, the price has gone up as well. So that is walking in a circle. That is no way to solve those problems.
So it ends up being the same as when you make 12
Yeah,
if the price goes up.
exactly. It gives you the illusion of
Yeah.
something happening, but it's put on your back again. Because you have to go and buy those products now, and it's the same with housing. You go and buy a nice house. My parents bought a house for 300,000 crowns in Solna maybe 20 years ago. Now it's worth 3 million. And they might feel pretty good about that. They say that we made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if they sell that house and they want to go up buy a house equal to that,
They can.
there is no more 300,000 crown house. Everything's gone up. If they sell their house and go live in the Bahamas on
Yeah,
the
then
beach,
it's
maybe
different.
then it's good. But if you want the same again, there is no same. Then you have to pay 3 million again. And that's the same when the prices go up.
Or you have to move farther away from the city.
Yeah, exactly.
city
But then
factories
you're
and
giving up something,
stuff.
but you can't make real money out of it. Some people do,
No, yeah.
but you can't get
Right,
the same
the
thing
money
back.
back, yeah.
So just a suggestion is to not get too involved in those things. You do what you have to. If you feel that you have to go protest, you go do that. But there are consequences. And those, if you really analyze it, if you would get away from the feeling of I'm doing something and really say, did it really help? Then you will not get that involved in those things, and you will aim for a higher goal. And that is the Venus Project is a higher goal in that which we don't want to solve this system. We would like to go over to a new system that fixes these problems. This system is not able to solve this problem. It was never meant to solve these problems. Any thoughts about it? Was it coercive? Was it, in Sweden we say red line? Or was it too... Röda tråd? What do you, I mean, does it go in a red line, this presentation? Or was it
Does that
too
make
jumpy?
sense for you?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Any questions? Anything that didn't make sense? Any thoughts that came up?
I think of when Roxanne said we're not interested in patching up the system.
No,
Because
exactly.
you fix one little thing here and something else breaks, or many things are breaking.
Yeah.
Like when somebody asked, I think it was in Jacques Fresco's lecture in Holland, somebody asked, how about Monsanto?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
okay, you might get, if you protest for 10, 15 years, you might get something, a legislation at the
Yeah.
best, against their practices, but then again, and then what about all the rest? And
Yeah.
again, even if we get a legislation, we never know what's behind the scene. Like this, you said, the guy goes out with a smile and he say, all right, we're going to put filters, and he has a big smile because behind the scenes, we're not paying for it. You are paying
Yeah.
for it.
Uh,
So I'm just thinking about the expression she uses, patching up the system.
Yeah, exactly. It is another example could be if you solve cancer tomorrow, sounds great, but a lot of people would lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there. If you have the cure of cancer in your hand and you have 10,000 people working on this, and you know that if this comes out tomorrow, all of these people will lose their jobs. Let's just give that as an example.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that might make you hesitate for 1 minute, and that is unfortunate that we have that kind of society that you would have to even consider those things. Just as an example.
But that happened. There was a doctor that in the 30s he made this machine and he was curing people of cancer and like diabetes and
Yeah.
other things. Then all of a sudden his laboratory caught on fire and they wanted to close them down because then it would put people out of work.
Yeah, it's the same with patents. Imagine that you have a product all around the world. Like example I used to give is the regular size battery, the AA battery. You have that market all around the world. Everybody uses that for different things. And somebody comes and says, I have a battery, but it's this size. It's 100 times better. You go to that company and say, do you want to buy the patent? They say, yes, we would love to buy that patent. Buy it, and they lock it up. Because why put it on the market? Then you have to educate people. You have to sell it. You have to go to all the companies and say, we have this new thing. Would you like to buy it? They say, no, we have the whole thing. It's working. So it's cheaper just to buy it for $1 million and just freeze it. Put it in the back. And that's one of our problems here.
I'm thinking about the discussion now with this medicine that some medical people is still giving to patients, but the government has said that you shouldn't give it because it's too expensive. I think
Give what? Give what?
A special medicine for a small amount of people.
Yeah.
The treatment costs about 4 million a year or something like it.
Yeah.
And they think it's too much for one single person, just because a company has a patent on this.
Yeah.
And they are the only one that can manufacture it.
Yeah.
I heard about that on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some drugs in the U.S. they won't approve that they approve in Mexico and Europe because the market is so small. They won't make a profit, so then they use some other drug that
Yeah.
they can use for other things too.
Yeah. We can talk about these problems for years. And that is the thing, is that if we get too involved, is that we will say, I just want to solve that problem. And we go into that and we'll miss the whole picture, that they will just pop up more and more problems. I will continue. This is just a short bit. It's called The Sad Story of Our Society Today. Is that we sit around with different nations and we try to solve our problems by just communicating. And we forget that there are real great personal investments in all the discussions. So when they are smiling at each other, what they're really hoping is that if I can break you and break your country, we will have a much better life. So we have not even come close to unlocking our full potential, because our potential is going towards that angle, is how I can be destructive towards others. So a lot of, on his old lectures, a lot of people talk about aliens and those things, and I think Jack has a very I like the way he goes into that when he talks about different systems, like aliens would be a different system, and he says that they would never come and visit us. We have this notion of that we're something special, that if aliens would come, they would definitely come and visit us. But he tries to say that it would be totally insane for them to even come here and say, I want to talk to the president. That would be the last person he would ever want to talk to, because the president can't really say anything. They would rather go to an engineer, somebody to try to help them solve problems. But just to sit down and talk with somebody, you can't really see that, why they would come for those reasons. So we try to talk with different life forms, and I think they sent this message out in space, I don't remember when, but try to communicate. And what we say in the Venus Project is that we can barely talk to each other. It is very difficult for us to sit here and get our ideas across. So we can barely talk to each other. So don't concern our time with connecting with a totally different system. Let's try to find a way to communicate with each other first.
He humoristically said once, we can't live in peace on Earth. How in hell we're gonna live in peace on Mars?
Yeah, it's the same.
Like he said, we're having our priorities ass backwards.
Yeah.
We're putting too much effort in things that really don't matter at this point.
Yeah. So, but let's say that we do communicate with another planet, and for some reason they're doing the same thing as we do on this planet, because that makes sense. Why would they be doing something different? They're sitting at the beach and they say, oh, somebody's calling, let's go and visit the Earth people for some reason. They have nothing better to do. So they come here and they say, this is how you can solve your problems. Because they're not interested in the weather. They say, this is what we can inform you about. You can begin by removing private property. You should remove elitism from your society. Create a united world that is concerned with all the studies going towards the betterment of people. And create the best that you can with what engineering science can create at your time. You think, and this is a very important part of it, is that you should give people as much of free time as possible. Maybe work an hour a month. Don't put people in places and make them work. Give them freedom to do their own thing, and better things will come out. Do you think the people of Earth will be happy about that? That they would applaud and say, thank you for that information. We have been waiting. We are looking forward to sharing from now on. I think people would be pretty pissed off if they would be given that information from aliens. And they would say, go back to your communistic country. That would probably make, to me it makes pretty much sense that they would say that. So does that mean game over for the Venus Project? It will never be installed? No, it has to do with timing. I saw a TED Talk. They talked about the startup companies. They had compared 200 companies, and the most important factor for success, it was timing. If you come too fast with something that people are not ready for, it will not be implemented. And that is our problem today. We don't have enough problems for the Venus Project to be put in. That is why we have Leonardo DiCaprio talking for 4 minutes, because we don't have enough problems. If we had really tremendous amounts of problems, if he would try to step up, people would drag him down and say, we don't have time for that. But we don't have that type of society. But when we have enough problems, then unfortunately then we will have this social change.
So do you think we should create more problems then?
No, yeah, that would be
Make
great.
it faster.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
So,
But I would say that as long as we're doing patchwork, that will hold the system together longer. If we always, psychology today is a great patchwork. The way it is done today, it is a great patchwork to keep people sane enough for the society to continue. I listened to a child psychologist. His work is, for me, he saved my upbringing of my child, for me. And he tries to go into it and say that this society, the way children are being brought up, it is destructive. But he doesn't go far enough, because he's concerned with making money. He has 5 children. He's involved in the world. So what he gives for suggestions is what you can do to keep your children sane. Okay? He gives you that. But he doesn't question why we have all of these problems. It doesn't go into that. But he gives you great tools to bring up your children to be sane in an insane world. Do you understand that?
As
That is
insane as the world, you mean?
Yeah, but he, instead of, how do you mean, insane as?
Adjusting them.
Adjust to the
Adjusting,
world.
yeah, exactly.
As insane as the world.
Yeah,
So they would
exactly.
combine.
Yeah, it would be like walking on the street and you see dead people everywhere, like in New York. People fall down. There's been many
yeah.
examples of people just walking
the-
by. I saw a video clip of a person getting stabbed, and it took hours before anybody even noticed. And people picked him up and looked, and they just went on.
Wow.
But that is normal now because they have been educated, or it's a part of our
Not
society.
to get involved.
Yeah, not to get involved, and how to handle that. You see it doesn't concern you because you go home and you watch movies of that all the time. I've seen a million people die in all the movies I've seen. So sooner or later that affects you maybe a little bit. And you are brought up with people not concerning themselves with you. Why should I concern myself with other people? So psychology today adjusts us to an insane world. Instead of fixing the world, it tries to fix the individuals. And you're working against the tide when you do that, because if you fix 500 people in a year, that sounds pretty good, but the system produces thousands more. Stress and anxiety and all those problems. Okay. Any thoughts about that? Anything else?
I was thinking about Jack being invited to Dubai
Yeah.
and asked Dubai. They have went through a drastic change and doing the modern thing of the city.
Yeah.
And they invited Jack there and asked, "What do you think about our system?" And he said that they don't go far enough. They have to do this and take care of the lower class people and get everything to work, and they didn't like it. So the same thing, you have heard a lot of things that it's too early for people to understand Jack. And he has had offers that was ready to do in Turkey and some other place, and somehow it just disappears. So my my conclusion of it is that people with money see, oh, this is against my system, so I'm gonna stop it. So it can't continue.
Yeah.
When he gets the foot in a country, in Ecuador or Turkey or somewhere where he can start off the system, because I think it has to. Oh, we have to start a system like this and show people that it works.
Yeah. That will be a part of my next presentation here. But one of the things he talks about